George Fox goes, he can win and finish up, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we got.
They suckered me.
Usually.
When I went to Western, it was called 40 College of Education.
Or it's linked to our.
Are you serious?
I was in graduating class.
Are you serious? I loved Western, they
Oh,
was so
I
nice,
love that.
it's so easy. George Fox is like,
What's going on.
I told Sherry, I go, if I ever.
I think Valerie and I
Again.
talked about it,
Yeah, I'm gonna
talked about it,
but
but
we're
we're
the
Scotland. A lot of people.
If I meet the man, he's dead.
And like the general and the big.
She's dead.
Town meeting and. It's
Charlotte,
just, I mean,
Charlotte.
our neighbors can also.
She's going now.
That's good. You can still take us to that.
Would you? It'd be a good one.
So you might want to talk to Valerie too. Valerie and I talked about it.
Yeah. There you go.
So am I in the wrong?
Yeah.
No, you're perfect.
Okay, that's fine. Honey, yeah,
So
yeah.
what we do is, yeah, what we're doing is.
Well, it's part of it, I mean, I think that would help people.
Okay.
Oh, you're showing me the agenda?
I don't think so.
Go through the agenda, go through it.
Leave it on charter.
Lights were put. So it's also about where they should go on what it is.
Whatever you want to
All
that.
right. Yeah.
Oh. What if he doesn't show up?
No problem. I got my.
Infrequent?
Every, yeah.
If you, where.
What's that?
Well, that's probably.
Yeah.
Okay, but a meeting, yes,
Oh, okay.
but a meeting announcements go to the newspaper to the post office and then how they can access the agenda and on the
Yes.
website. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's so pretty.
I was cold last
Oh.
meeting, so I wore a sweatshirt.
No, Joe, I haven't even.
It's so hot.
My graduation. And it's still not open the door. It's going up here.
Yeah, it's,
Turn it down to 66.
Like dying.
The thing is.
Yes, so our boss needs to know.
Well, we got a graduating. So, the advanced test.
It's not.
My class is early yet. You might be making a ride for nothing. I don't know.
There can't be. But I don't think we're going into executive session tonight. We had executive session on here because the charter was going to meet and just trying to finish their evaluation. But they didn't, weren't able to meet, like, this, no. So we didn't even get that.
We're right.
So we're gonna make, we're gonna not have executive session on there, or meeting from like.
You want me to put everybody in this?
Mary,
Never seen her so bad.
usually it's hiding behind a big door.
Is she done today?
Yeah, so that'll knock out a big chunk of those. Well, we know.
Oh, that's lovely. I mean. So.
Thank you. I'm gonna be everywhere. Sorry.
I don't even need this. It's really up to a lot of meetings.
I'm not even gonna log in anymore because I have my slide.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. This is Pearson's here, so we'll still read it.
Okay. All right.
One to third.
All right, so we're gonna call this meeting to order. We're gonna start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, does everybody look at the agenda? All right, I think we were gonna suggest that we do not have executive session tonight because we do not have the business that we needed to do an executive session. It's on the agenda, but I don't think we need it tonight, so. We'll strike that, and then. Oh, and we're also gonna, doesn't really matter, so, you know, we can action item to do it. We're gonna move the superintendent report in front of the discussion items tonight in case Joe needs to leave. He's gonna have to hop out at 7 tonight to make it to training. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, so we're gonna move on to student of the month.
So the student of the month is something that the school board decided they wanted to get doing again last year, where they bring recognition to a handful of students each month. What they did is they determined to select an elementary, middle, and high school student of the month. The students' names are sent to the administrative team at the end of the month by the teachers who are making the recommendations. And then the administrative team sits down and examines those recommendations that were made by the teachers and selects the student who had the greatest case made for them, if you will, in regards to those things. And that's how we establish who our students of the month are. The students who are here tonight will also have their names carried forward toward this, to the spring, where their names will be the only ones considered for student of the year on their respective grade levels. So tonight we're honoring 3. I see that we've got at least 2 out of 3 of the parents here, so I'll let you start where you like.
All right, so Hyde Slater is not here, but Mrs. Pearson, are you here?
I am.
Would you like to read what you, why you nominated Hyde for student of the month?
Sure. You want me to stand or? Oh, wow. New to this, so Grace, please. I nominated Hyde because he is a dedicated and kind-hearted student who always brings a positive attitude to the classroom. He's a true friend to everyone, consistently offering support and encouragement to his peers. Hyde works diligently on tasks, demonstrating perseverance and responsibility. Additionally, his willingness to help both classmates and the teacher makes him a valuable member of our classroom community. His hard work and kindness made him a deserving recipient of Student of the Month. Even though
So Hyde will be receiving a plaque.
Yep.
As well as these kind words, and I'll make sure that those are delivered to his grandmother.
So our middle school student of the month is Sawyer Payne, son of Aaron Payne and Justin Price. Sawyer, you want to come up? Mr. Stratford, would you like to come up? You were one, he was actually nominated by 2 teachers, not just one, so he's double student of the month.
Before I say anything about Sawyer, I'll put in a little plug for Hyde. I hadn't talked to Hyde in weeks, and last week bumped into him in the elementary hall, and he said, "How are you doing, Mr. Stratford?" I said, "I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Hyde?" He said, "Oh, good." how's third grade treating you? He knew, like, for some reason, this fifth grader knew that third grade teacher had been out that week and that I was the one subbing there, asked me how they were treating me. I said, "Oh, that's good, that's good." And he went back into his class. So, yeah, I'm a great guy. Sawyer is, wing it. Many of our students, I think you probably understand, have a lot going on away from school. And those things weigh heavily on them, and we see that have an effect on their behavior, on their investment in the community, and on their investment into their schoolwork and their progress in their education. And this year started out a rough year for Sawyer Payne, with a lot going on away from school. And on top of that, many of Sawyer's peers, half of their motivation to keep their grades up is so they can be eligible for sports. And so when Sawyer was facing some tough things away from school, he didn't let it affect his good attitude, his investment in the community, being a friend to his buddies, and being a good student. And even though sports were not an option, we missed football season, basketball season, he kept investing. And he kept learning and growing. And we are very thankful for, just for God's hand of protection over him. We're thankful that was a short season that we can look back on where he didn't get to play those sports. And then we can look forward to having him on the court and out on the field in the future. And it was really interesting. I was subbing for Mr. Lopez, so I had Sawyer a couple classes a day for about a week. And I submitted that recommendation on Wednesday, and on Thursday, Sawyer was maybe thinking about adding some new skills to his repertoire. And then we had to talk about that, and he was like, okay, maybe I won't add those things. But Sawyer, it's great to have you. Congratulations. All right, well done.
He was also nominated by Ms. Geiger, who wrote, "I nominate Sawyer Payne for Middle School Student of the Month." Sawyer is an excellent example to his classmates. He is responsible and works hard and successful in English. He manages his time well, consistently completing his assignments on or before the due date, turning in quality work. Sawyer is consistently kind and respectful towards his classmates and me. Oh, this one. High School Student of the Month is Maggie Brown, daughter of David and Emily Brown. This one also nominated by Ms. Geiger. Mrs. Geiger says, "I nominate Maggie Brown for High School Student of the Month. Maggie works hard to complete all of her assignments. She has a strong work ethic and is learning to manage her time this year so that she continues to be successful in her high school years. Maggie is kind and compassionate to others, and she is well liked by her peers." And as her basketball coach, I can second all of that. This is an amazing kid. And I just want to clap for you parents out there, because a lot of these amazing kids come because they have very amazing parents and invest time in them. So just thank you very much. Here, let's take it out here.
I love it. Excellent.
All right. So this is where we start into the really boring stuff of the meeting. I don't usually chair the meeting, I'm the co-chair. So this is the time when we let parents leave if they want to, because it does get kind of boring. Thank you for coming. Believe me, I want to go look at the scoreboard. Right back. So now. No, we'll give you a second.
Miss Driver out there.
All right, so now moving on, we are at the public input part. Oh, did you want to? Yes, actually, I didn't know Emily was coming tonight, so we took the executive session off because I didn't see you here. But we're gonna have to add that back on since you are here.
Our charter board meeting was can't postpone because of
Yeah.
snow.
I just found that out this weekend, yeah, so, whatever you want to do, it's also through the meeting, and you can do executive later, another time, I can do whatever. you want to do.
Or would you be fine? I don't want you to join
No,
that.
no, I live in Reynolds, it's not that far,
Are you sure?
especially when I drive fast.
So I feel like we really should look at the charter boards,
Yeah, yeah.
and be able to add it to our evaluation, so if that's fine with you,
Absolutely,
thank you so much for coming tonight, I
yeah,
didn't think about.
They're currently scheduled to meet on the 18th and 20th.
okay. Then we'll do whatever the following, whatever you
Yeah,
guys want
March
me to
10th.
tell me.
March 10th is our next board meeting.
March
Did you make that one?
Sure.
Perfect, so we'll
Thank you
plan
so
on,
much.
we'll plan on that, I'm so sorry.
That's your pleasure, that's what I'm here for.
Okay, so we're continuing with no executive session. Is there any public input? Anybody but, public input?
I just want to touch on, make sure it's on record for item 5, charter board meeting report, that there was not a meeting on the 3rd, and that is being rescheduled for either the 18th or the 20th.
Perfect. Alright, so we're now gonna jump ahead to the superintendent report and then come back for discussion.
So, there's a few things I want to make sure you guys are aware of. Just a little update on the seismic work. The plan currently is to start the work on May 1. The work that they're going to do is going to be under the building at first. They'll also be taking off some siding when the time comes, but the inside of the building won't be touched for a few weeks at least, so we won't be pushing the kids outside in the rain right away. Besides the seismic work and the restructuring that they're going to be doing to shore up the security or the stability of the building, they're also going to be adding an exterior door to the weight room, an exterior door to the electrical access. We're going to be adding a wall in here so we have storage in here as well. They're going to have to do some roofing because there's some sagging to our roof line that was discovered in the process. And so they're going to be rectifying that as well. You know already about the metallic siding that's going to go up and a whole new look. It's fun. So funny, I had a student come to me today who wanted to suggest that we put a mural on the wall over here because it's looking a little hideous out there. I said, just hold on, man, we're working on it. Get some metal siding up here very soon. Also, they're going to be showing up the gym floor. We have currently a bottom jack underneath there holding up a little portion of the floor, so they're going to rectify that. The budget for the work is at 90% right now, and everything is out in bidding, and that bidding should be done in the next week and a half or so. This Friday, we'll be hosting some of their subcontractors here who want to walk the property and get a better sense for what the work will look like. We're supposed to have another meeting tomorrow. I will zoom into it from Salem. Anyway, so that's just a quick and dirty on what that's looking like. Charlie, if you'd like to add anything.
Just that we might want to think about having the maintenance crew, if there's anything like the plumbing, if we wanted outside water spigots, or perhaps there's some electrical that we wanted to remove. It's a shell game when it comes to dealing with these people when they don't even have the final budget yet and they're getting money. But ahead of them, if we were to come in ahead of them, and then they could, like if for an outside electrical outlet, they could sheet over it with the siding. And it might be a better way for us to accomplish what we want to accomplish.
One of the things that was discussed is like this bank of this counter back here is going to be removed. We could have them remove it, or it could be removed before they get here. So anyway, so just that type of stuff is what we're looking at. And so we'll have some more conversations as a team about some things we might be able to knock down before they get here to save some money on some of the work. Some of that stuff is really simple. So then COSA OASBO meeting, that's the conference I'm going to tonight. I signed up for this a couple months ago to attend. I went last year, mostly because I was looking at the bond work that we were talking about. And they're going to have some discussions about that as well with this, but that's not my reason for wanting to go this year. I thought that when I registered for this, I thought that we might have some input about how federal spending was going to be managed by this time. We knew that, of course, there'd be an election, but Anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna get what I'm going for or not, but I'm hoping that I'll get some enlightenment about what federal spending will look like in the state, and how that might impact us as a school district. I'll report back to you on any findings I have at the next meeting. Preschool Promise update, as you know, we've been awarded the program. This program is extremely detailed in regards to how it rolls out and how it's managed. That's probably even an understatement, okay? There's so many boxes to check and forms that it's crazy. But I will say that they've been impressed by how quickly we've been knocking down each charge they give us to do. We've been just on it. The whole team, everybody that's got a role to play has been on it. And we were actually filling out forms today before they got us our identification numbers to complete the forms with. So I mean, so as a district, we're on it and we're checking all the boxes that they need checked, and it's going really well. And everybody's focusing on the work at hand. I want you to understand that, as you know, the Preschool Promise position, the school has a different fiscal threshold for how students qualify to be in that program. We had 14 students enrolled in our program. We could take up to 18 students in the program. That would be crazy capacity, but that's what we could do up to. They gave us 12 slots that would be paid for. We want to try and fill all 12 slots if we can. Of the 14 students that we had attending, 9 have already qualified for those slots. Another 3 have been disqualified. So, and the remainder, they're still working on trying to find out if they qualify or not. The good news is if we only had the 9, the other 5 would still fit into that gap of 18. This isn't upper math, I can even do this, okay? So what I mean to say is even if those 5 were extra ones on top of the 12 slots and they filled in the other slots, we'd be at a maximum of 17, we'd still be fine. We still have to hire a 0.5 EA. Kathy's working on that this week, but it's all going on nicely and it's coming together. Leah's been working on some playground equipment and things. And the last thing I have on here is required OSBA trainings. I got an email last week. That's why this is the last item on my list here, is because I just found out last week that board members during the course of their term are supposed to take some training from OSBA during the course of their term. I don't know what that is, but I got the email like on the 4th, and it said the next training is the 7th. So it's kind of like, so then I reached out and I said, how often do these happen? They said pretty frequent. So what I'll do is I will get you more information about the trainings available, and I'll share that with you. But I also want to answer any questions you might have about the training, because I don't know anything about it either. Laura asked a great one this afternoon. She said, is it something that we could just do online? Great question, I don't know. So I'll find out if that's something that is doable. She also asked, is it something that they could do by coming here and knock us all down at the same time? I don't know. That's another great question. So I'll ask those questions. If you have other ones, let me know what they are, and I'll try and get the answers for you and report it back to you in a bulletin.
Quick question, with the training that Mr. Cotton gave us, would that qualify as OSBA training?
So I'll find out. I'll ask. Anybody else? Got another question that you might want to?
I got a question on the preschool. Is the 18 slots, is it still within our capacity as far as the teachers for students?
Yeah, Todd, that was actually a number that the teachers came up with. Ginny said that would be our cap, and that's what we put on our application as our cap, knowing full well we'd never get 18. Okay, I mean, they wouldn't award us 18. They only had 18 to award in the entire state.
Right.
We got 12 of them. Yeah.
And so those slots those 12, they're awarded based on income, is that correct?
Yeah,
And the 5 extras that we have are based on the fact they have too much income, is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
And what we didn't want to do is foist anybody out of the program just because we changed programs mid-year. And we knew we'd have a cushion there, so we figured we'd carry them. The money that we're going to get from Preschool Promise will pay for the whole thing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's just the right numbers, really, it's just the right numbers for us to work with.
There's a representative, I think his name is Scooter, right?
No, it's Boomer.
Boomer. Boomer Scooter. Anyway, I just wanted to say Boomer Wright was a huge advocate for us as a school district, and he's the one who got got preschool promised to halt the work that they were doing for awarding these at the beginning of the year when we were overlooked, and had them come back and re-examine us. And Boomer Wright's the one responsible for doing that, so I wanted the board to know that, or wanted the public record to know that, as well as I spoke to him even today and thanked him on behalf of the community for the work that he did, because his word made a difference. And I know that because I heard it through more than one channel.
Politicians have power.
Doesn't hurt, right?
No.
So that concludes my report. Unless you guys have other questions, I didn't know.
So I understand during the negotiations, they decided that it's not advantageous for them to put in the foundations for the volleyball nets to run the length of court.
Yes. There's, it requires a floor specialist that they thought might, I mean, it's still possible, but their concern is that the cost of doing that is going to be exorbitant compared to some of the other things that are on the list. So it's not off the list, it's just a heavy impact should we go back to it.
Okay, is there a possibility we could look at that independently?
Oh, absolutely.
To
Yeah,
see if we can have that done?
absolutely.
I know the coaches have been asking for that for quite some time. That would open up the use of the gym.
That wouldn't be one of those things included on, though we can't touch it for 2 years thing? Or would,
No.
would be their work?
I would find out. That's a whole other
Or do we
question,
need to get
yeah.
it done before they, or within?
We've been working on something with the floor jack in there with the floor already because we've got a jack under that. Isn't that what you said? That they're doing something with the gym? floor?
They are gonna
Jack.
stabilize the floor.
Yeah,
But that was like a bid alternative, so I think that kind of excludes it from being under the scope of this
Yeah,
one.
I'm thinking so too, but I need to check.
And for the rest of the bids, alternatives as well.
I'll check on that. I'll let you guys know. Any other Joes? Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna go back to discussion items number 7. And that's it.
I'm gonna stay till seven.
So there are a few in here that the OSBA have recommended to table. And then there's a few that we've been considering to delete. We don't need, we manage things differently. And then more that we could table, recommended from OSBA. And then one that we can delete because JHCD and JHCDA were deleted. So out of this big group here, we can get rid of most of it by making them an action item to either table or delete them. I have a list of them right here. That would leave us with the first one, AC, and then from 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, those ones in there as well. All the rest of them can be either tabled or deleted.
Does that need a motion then?
Yes, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we move the table recommendations to an action item.
And deleted.
tabled and.
And deleted.
Okay, I'll second that.
All right, so moved and seconded to move all the tabled and deleted policy recommendations to an action item. All in favor?
You seconded that?
I
Rebecca.
second.
Okay. Right, so that leaves us with the AC, and then from GC, BDC down to IKF. So that's what we have left to work through. I talked to Joe earlier about maybe having a policy workshop before those become a second read next month, or also we could I know that, since Holly will be coming back at that meeting, it's going to be a little bit longer meeting that night. So either we can have a policy workshop between now and the next meeting, or we can come early to the next meeting by like an hour or so, and discuss these and probably may be able to vote on them. If there's some that we just can't nail down in that time frame, we might be able to table it till the next meeting. Yes.
I was just gonna say that when you get down into the GCBDCs and those down there, a lot of that stuff's about family leave and stuff, and Leah has recommendations for that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so I think
We have
some, even though the list looks a little bit long and a little daunting, I think that the hour and a half, easily, I think you guys will get through it. Wow, it's easy, what do you say, right, but
I don't think it's gonna take that long. The Leah and Joe really put in a lot of work in looking into these, and they have some really good recommendations. We still need to be diligent and look through them, if we find anything else that raises a red flag for us, but, I believe we can probably get through it if we get here. But I know some people can't get here earlier. Yeah, it's 6 the earliest you can get here.
I can possibly get here earlier.
Like if we did, like if we met at either 4:30 or 5, and then had a little break. Like if we met at 4:30, then went through as much policy as we can, then had a little break between that meeting and a regular meeting. Would you be fine with that if your recommendations maybe came through Rebecca or?
Yeah.
Everybody else okay with that, meeting earlier and just kind of have a marathon night rather than sacrificing another night of our month?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
We'll bring, how about we bring food? That would help. I can, or remind everybody, maybe everybody bring a little snack, like to share. And we can have some food, and maybe some coffee set up. So, that's the 10th of March. Yeah. So we'll plan on that. Let's go ahead and say we're gonna start at 4:30. If everybody can try to make that and, marathon night. Holly's like, great, I'm gonna get him tired and grumpy. All right, so we are on to B, second read of policies IKFB and JECA, which are the policies that we, at the last meeting, looked at, correct? And had suggestions. They've been edited, and that's what those links on your here are for. Those. Did anybody have anything else to say about those? Did you find anything on them? Are we comfortable with approving them? They'll have to be made into an action item if we're comfortable with moving forward with those two.
We made that recommendations last month, and those went to OSBA, and those recommendations were put into print. That's what you find on your links.
Looked good to me.
We also will have time later to discuss them if anybody has anything, if we move into an action item.
I make a motion that we move item B to an action item.
I'll second that motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to add item B, 7B as an action item. All those in favor? All right, so on here for discussion items, we have the superintendent evaluation.
Did you want some input?
Sure. So we all should have had our evaluations turned in by the end of January. Did everybody get those in? What?
Yeah, nice job.
Wow. I didn't say, that's good. Good job. So everybody got those in, and we will have Polly back at the next meeting on March 10th, and we'll be compiling all those together with the charter board evaluation as well to put together our evaluation for Joe, so.
Providing there's no snow.
Yes. All right, so, D, we're talking about the FFA trip to state in Redmond, which we talked about at the last meeting. Joe's done all the paperwork, it was submitted very much in advance. And we got to talk with, their last meeting and everything looked great. It would need to be moved to an action item for us to approve tonight.
Move that we move items.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to move item 7D to an action item. All those in favor? All right, so then, the ESD contract. Joe has looked this through, he's comfortable with it. Everything looks fine to him. He said there's some changes in orders of things, but, he's comfortable with it. It's been on here, this is our second meeting it's been on our agenda. Has anybody looked at that and had any red flags or questions or anything they'd like to talk about?
How many pages in that? I'd like a hard copy of that, actually.
There should be,
I think we passed it out at the last.
3 pages.
Yeah, it just came out of my. Yeah, I don't know where mine is. I looked in my bottom there. So, for us to approve that, that would also need to be in action.
Let me just speak to it for a moment, if I may. So I was telling Laura earlier tonight that 20 years ago, when I was in the county working in administration, that the ESD was nowhere similar to as it is now, except for in the spelling of the name. What I mean to say is actually they are so much more responsive now than they were then. And I'm not trying to beat up their history. I'm just saying, look at this, right? I mean, here's Holly. I mean, they're just very responsive. I fired her off an email today about something that was kind of detailed, and she got back to me with a ton of details. It's just an extremely responsive entity that we utilize. Our integrated plan that we do with the state of Oregon, it's not a party. I'll just tell you right now, but they have somebody there who will come in alongside and work with me on getting it in the system. So today I sat down and I was trying to use the system and I saw that things weren't lining up. I sent an email. I have an appointment Tuesday morning, 8:30 for an hour, walk me through something. I mean, that's the responsiveness that we all seek in any type of entities we're working with. And that's one of the things that I get from the ESD. And so for what that's worth, I think it's on my end. And Holly's not a plant. I didn't know she was coming tonight either.
Are we gonna tell her, we will not judge you if you want to go home? If you want to walk out, walk out.
As a matter of fact, if you walk out, I'm gonna follow you.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you're, not doing what you thought you were gonna be doing here, but don't feel bad about leaving if you want to go home. I'll understand. So I would entertain a motion to move 7E as an action item.
I move that we move 7E to an action item.
I'll second it.
All right, so it's been seconded to move item 7E to an action item. All those in favor? Okay. So, moving on, we are at consent agenda items. Did anybody get to look over so on my email for some reason this morning, this wasn't a link. The regular board meeting wasn't a link. And so I couldn't look at it this morning, but I did get a printed out version from Joe this afternoon. I didn't have time to really go through it super thoroughly, but everything looks good to me. Did anybody else?
I reviewed it this afternoon.
Did it look good?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay. And then, we need a motion to approve that, right?
Well,
Or do we
you
still
can
go with it? We
do
do them all.
you can do the whole consent agenda at one
I
time.
like that. Let's do that. So, Moving on to B, approval of contracts, Jolene Kroom for assistant middle school girls basketball coach. She's out there right now. She's doing a pretty good job. Riley Kroom is assistant high school girls basketball coach. I've been doing it for years, but I'm on the board and I can't get paid. And she's been coming every day and she went through all the coaching classes and jumped through all the hoops and the fingerprinting and the blah, blah, blah. And she's been a breath of fresh air this year and really has been doing a great job. So very impressed with her. Just as being there every day with her standpoint. And 3, preschool promise, February 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025. Like Joe already said, we got 12 of 18 slots. That's pretty neat. That's really neat for the kids in our community and it's exciting. It's fun to drive in here sometimes and see the little kids out there.
What are we approving exactly with that contract?
That just approved the contract is what it is,
Okay,
yeah,
that
yeah.
we're going
So
to-
that's just your guys' check, is all it is, yeah.
Okay.
Once that's approved, then we still have processes we have to go through. But all of those things are in order that we'll begin receiving checks for the work probably at the end of this month. I believe we're already in EGMS, the funding system, for the first $24,000, which is the setup costs.
And then we don't have anything for C, but down to D, we would be accepting the resignation of Jesslyn Hall. Joe, we talked earlier and he is already hit the ground running and has got ideas about how to fill that position for the rest of the year.
I'll be attending George Fox Job Fair on Monday, President's Day, there's no school. And I've already made contact with Southern Oregon University with their department of secondary ed about candidates they have, as possible candidates. So I'm working there. And U of O in Western Oregon have job fairs as well in April and March that I'll be attending. If I can't find the right person, I'm not hiring the first person I come over. I mean, I'll be interviewing myself. And we're going to be using section I from our contract on compensation about bonuses. So we're going to use an incentive bonus for hiring so we can attract the best we can get.
So we're hoping to find somebody to finish out this year, not just have it
Yes,
for the
that's,
fall.
yeah,
Hopefully.
in Joe's perfect world, that's, yes. And that's also why I'm making those trips, is because that's what I want.
Thank you.
With our science teacher,
Yes.
So, anybody want to make a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda items in entirety.
I'll second it.
All right, so moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda items entirely. All those in favor? Nobody opposed? We are.
Let's go.
So Leah is not here tonight. She has something else she needs to do tonight. She was gonna be at a training, but, she's stepping up and helping out her friend in the community that kind of had something happen in her life. So we don't have her here for the financial reports. Did anybody look through those or have any questions about anything on them? Did we have any type of a presentation?
I thought she was going to send something, but I don't.
Or maybe if we could
Did
just
she
pull
say
them up and
something?
take a quick
Yeah,
look.
we just have what she has written here.
And just kind of go through them and see if anybody had any questions on them.
Can you blow that up, Don?
Playground.
Still spending less than we budgeted and incoming more than we expected, and
Always positive.
the playground thing was a little bit of
Yeah,
Sure.
Is it 25,000?
a 30K install, yeah.
What? Oh, with the equipment was
With-
30K?
It's not 30K to install.
The whole thing.
I think with the installation.
For about, that's total cost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I read that differently too, kind of. Like, wait, well,
Install it? That's what I read, that
I can see how you'd be, yeah.
Yeah.
I read that the insurance wanted us to have it professionally installed.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, they were honest too, man. They knew it was coming and they actually came by and checked. Actually, oh, I was just driving by. Yeah. Seriously. True story. True story. I mean, like about 10 days ago.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah.
Just tell me when to scroll.
Just go down or up. you want me to read this out loud or are we good with just?
Have to have the filing for the elections done, I think, by March,
20th.
is it the 20th? That was over.
So anybody who wants to re-up needs to refile, but you're not going to. And she has a link for the paperwork to fill out there. Anybody needs it. So the third option for the playground, is that something that will be cleared up by next meeting that we can make a decision on?
Yeah, she's
We can kind of wait.
She's been working on, I mean,
Yeah.
and we had a plan before the insurance guy showed up. So kind of had to take a step back and kind of turn over a few more rocks. You know, we got to get bids now for that because it goes over 25,000.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. We have
Always
a plan.
Bummer.
Our balloon got popped. That's all right. We're doing this best we
Yeah,
can.
we've had a lot of wins on the pre-K this year.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right,
we
that's
did.
right.
Can't win them all.
Yeah, that's right.
Did anybody have questions on this?
Donna's happy to answer.
I can't answer questions on the voucher report.
That's true, you did.
School.
I meet with Leah each Monday, usually, I mean, not today, but I'm, generally speaking, we meet each Monday, and last time we sat down and met, I asked her, because it was mid-year, I said, okay, so tell me, how are we doing? You know, I can see this, but how do you feel we're doing in regards to expenditures this year as compared to last and previous years? And she said we're doing great, and that our actual pace is actually a little bit slower even than last year, which was a good year. And so, anyway, I just thought I'd just share that. I mean, that's not a very monetarily specific number, but I know that recently we go through line by line on a lot of things, and that's how I was feeling, and I just wanted the confirmation from her, and she agrees that fiscally we're doing fine.
Take some back. End of the year again?
Yep.
That's good. All right, anybody have questions on the voucher report? All right, go.
So I had just a couple of questions on the voucher report. First one is on page 10. Might want to enlarge that. Down toward the bottom of the screen, there's a, there you
Ooh, that's much.
go. Yeah,
I can,
I know, I always have to do that because there's one screen right in front of me.
Okay, page 10.
Yeah, at the bottom of page 10. So this, up, just past it. There it is. So this is about the copiers.
Okay.
So just a question about, okay, so the way I read this, it's a new lease of 20 payments of over $1,000. So that's over $20,000 for 2 copiers. So I'm curious what
So
kind
we
of,
pay the 1,035 quarter, so it's a multiple year lease.
okay. So just in quickly looking up those models of copier, I checked out how much we could buy them for new. And so I assumed that in order for this lease to make sense, that we're getting some other services or something that would be included in that cost, because it's considerably more than it would be
All
to
the
just
toner
purchase.
and all the ink.
Okay, all the toner and the ink, yeah, because that adds up.
And we have to pay for additional copies that we go over the contract.
Okay,
So we have another PO that's additional copies, but we don't have to purchase toner or ink or anything like that.
that's great. And so we get a
And
certain
if we
number
were
of
needing
copies.
servicing, they would come. to us.
Servicing. Perfect. I figured it was something like that to make it make sense, because I know you guys look into everything so thoroughly, so. But I was just curious what all was included with that cost, since it's a rather large cost. Cool. Thank you. And then on page 13, we had some sink parts and things for $700.
There was, the sink out in the shop needed repaired, the
Okay,
big sink, and then the other one is the boys shower curtains installation. Was approved.
$700 for some sink cups and a shower curtain?
That's not a normal shower curtain, it's the ones that go across in the water.
Okay, so they're probably
And it's, and
The
it's,
different
and
balls.
it's longer, it's,
They're
it's,
longer.
it's hard to track for it.
Yeah, and you guys did approve the purchase of
Yeah,
this.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not meaning to.
oh,
I just asking questions. I know you guys have such an awesome job.
I'm glad you are.
Okay, so then on page 14, I was just wondering what 750 registration was. What does that mean?
That's the van with the
Oh.
750 license.
Gotcha. Okay. And my last question was on page 23, and I don't remember if I've asked this before. What's the Brady grant again? Can you Remind me.
That is a small grant that I get every year, and it's about like $75 to $85 per kid for like 5 kids. And I'm able to purchase stuff they need. So this year I chose those kids and I got them a sweatshirt, sweatpants, and a t-shirt, all of the Days Creek logos.
Oh, cool. Is that elementary school specific
It's the
or
whole
anybody
school,
in the
yeah.
whole school?
Yeah, so I just pick kids that are in need.
Oh, that's
But
great.
you can get toiletries or all kinds of things.
Okay, great. Thank you for explaining that. Thanks, Donna.
Yep.
That was it for my
Anybody else have any questions? All right, so I guess we'll move on to the enrollment report. If you can show that for us. We went down 4 kids, I believe, in the high school. We're still above what we budgeted for.
Thanks,
15 minutes.
guys.
Have a safe trip.
Yeah, have fun.
I'm just glad they took the snow out of the forecast.
Yeah.
Might follow him out.
Oh.
Next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This is Dawn.
So, did anybody have any questions on the enrollment report? Joe had explained to me that we had 2 kids, homeschool, decided to homeschool from the high school, and then one decided to go online through not our school, just a different academy, so we lose that one. So, yeah, I think we're still okay. So, all right, so let's move on to the action items. And Donna, did you type them in there? Because I didn't write them down in the order that we moved them. Let me, hold on. Yeah, I think the first one was the policy, right? Okay. The Redmond trip, right? Yeah, the second one, policy.
B to the action. It's right here. ECV.
Got it prettier there. There you go.
You move one thing and everything moves. And I can't move one. That's why you don't mess with that.
He's like, it was all good, you know, like I did it.
Yeah. Thought I had one square away, it was great. It's like,
All right,
first 6 pages are almost done now.
on that last one, on the bottom, it says the legal live in January, on the, there we go, policy,
Oh.
there we go. Oh,
Deleted it.
there we go. Oh, perfect, okay, so. Anybody? First one that we have coming up is the policy that have been recommended to be tabled or deleted. You want to even motion to table and delete those?
Are we having any discussion?
Yes, if you have discussion, I think we make the motion and then we have discussion.
Okay.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
move that we table and delete the policies as listed in item A.
Second, yeah.
All right, do you have any discussion on that?
I did call, I just want you guys to know, I did call OSBA today. There is a number that I found as I was going through material here about policy updates. It says on this one page. And so I called and talked to Leslie Fisher about this, and I asked her why so many of them were tabled. And just so you guys know, the OSBA is struggling with the reality of the new Trump administration coming in. And so they are looking at our revision process that we are engaging in right now with them and realizing that there's a good chance as Trump continues to barnstorm the federal government, that there will be new issues that we will actually be going back through and doing revisions on revisions. So they just had a big meeting today. I happened to call her. She was in that meeting. And I brought that up because I actually had a long conversation with her and because I feel like we're kind of, in a way, we're kind of pressured to simply adopt all required policies. And she told me that in a sense, that's true, but in a sense, it's not. And she advised that we discuss even required policies, and that if anybody on the board is not uncomfortable for whatever reason, that we should take a vote on that policy and literally vote your conscience. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I have some discomfort, which I will share in a policy we're going to talk about here in just a minute. And I know that other people on the board have some discomfort with what you might call rubber stamping these required policies. I actually suggested to her that we might want to have a temporary moratorium on any policy revisions. Just basically say that until this thing gets sorted out with the Trump administration, we're not going to consider any revisions until further notice, which she thought was pretty hilarious because she had just come out of a meeting where the OSBA was dealing with the exact same issue, wondering what they're going to do. So I just wanted to share that with you guys in regard to these policies.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds good, temporary moratorium, but then I'm thinking, what happens when it's? Maybe Allison back.
All the policies we've been holding for you.
Yeah, but I mean, it has to be done.
So a lot of these that were tabled, it's because of that?
Yes,
They figure there's gonna be something else coming along that will make that policy.
Moot.
Because this
You know,
is,
and so here we're gonna be going through revising revisions. And they're very concerned about it. They do not have an answer right now. I'll just tell you that. So, and we don't really either, because we don't know what's coming. But Trump has mentioned in his executive orders a number of things that will affect our policies. And he's actually discussing completely getting rid of the Department of Education on a federal level. So, and he's also mentioned, I don't know if you pay attention to some of what he's been speaking on lately, but he's also speaking on wanting to return more autonomy back to the local district, which means that the way he funds things from the feds may actually come more directly to us. There's a lot of things up in the air right now, you guys. So as far as these policy revisions that we're making, I think all these things give us a little bit of an angle as a board for those of us who are not really comfortable with some of the stuff we've been putting through because they're required. It gives us a little bit of an angle to say, you know what, we may be looking at more autonomy in the future. And we would kind of like to discuss this whole process a little bit because I feel like we're rubber stamping a lot of stuff that maybe the majority of the board, maybe not, doesn't really agree with. So I think we need to address it as a board. I think it's bad for our mental state, our psychological state as board members to leave this issue go unaddressed forever. I think we at least need to talk about it.
Thank you.
Well, we do have a motion on the table to approve action item A and a second. So I'm gonna go ahead with the vote for all those in favor, favor. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, so we're gonna move on to B, which is the second read of policies. IKFB and JECA.
I move that we approve those two policies. As stated.
I will second the motion, just so we can begin some discussion.
All right,
Going on with
sounds
the
good.
discussion.
All right, so we have a discussion. Yes, you do.
You're gonna,
Yeah, I would
Which
just,
one would you like to look at, both, or which one do you have specific?
I am concerned about, IKFB.
All right, let's open it up and take a look.
And I am actually not, I'm actually not concerned on this particular policy revision in terms of language. I'm concerned about it in terms of the concept behind it. I know that it's a law, it's actually required for us to put this in our policies. But I believe that the concept behind the law, I personally believe that it is not in line with the type of meritocracy that this country is founded on. And as I said on the state of the school speech, I'm here because of political reasons. I mean, I'll just be honest. I wish I could spend time with all these beautiful kids, but I'm busy in other areas of my life. But the reason why I became a board member is because I have concerns that there are aspects of cultural Marxism that is coming down from our state of Oregon, and that they are finding their way into school policies, which is the very thing that we're looking at with this policy, I believe. And again, Leslie told me, she said, you need to express your opinions in your board meetings, be honest with everybody, and then vote according to your conscience. So in this particular policy revision, I'm not really interested in the language so much as the very idea of moving beyond the modified diploma, which I do understand, and I listened to all you guys carefully, and I understood your comment with your nephew that had Down syndrome. Your brother? Is it your brother? Okay. And I get that, I really do. It's just that how far do we reach in regard to the standard that a high school diploma represents? And I think that the attendance certificate goes beyond what I'm personally comfortable with. I'm a little iffy on the modified even, but by no means because I have any lack of compassion for children who have learning disabilities. I really don't. But the main object, I believe, of the school should be to help all the students that we can get across the finish line. And how can we say that we've really done the best we could when we're handing out a certificate of attendance? So yeah, we tried to help this student get across the finish line. I would say that the modified diploma should be, or maybe the extended, I don't even fully understand the extended, but the modified diploma should be the very least that we can say students that are having difficulties. I am not even comfortable with putting students in categories, okay? Because it's the categorization of our society that's how Marxism begins. Okay, I understand the stuff. I've read a lot about it. I'm very interested in the subject. And when you begin to categorize people into different segments, that is always how cultural Marxism begins. And I think that our goal should be to get every student, the ones that are less capable than others, which there always is that in life, we need to give them extra help and get them across the finish line. But when you begin to categorize students in different areas of deficiencies, I don't know, call it what you want, you know, I'm not sure what the right name is. But when you begin to categorize them for things like, you know, they're in a family that has perhaps drug problems, or maybe the student is on, they put these kids on Ritalin. Maybe the student's on Ritalin. I look carefully through the different categories that we have in our policies, and I think that the categorization itself is very troublesome to me. I mean, we have a number of different categories. They're not things like Down syndrome. They're not things like a student has a learning disability. They're actually things that, yes, that family is challenged, but you know, my family was challenged. I mean, to be honest with you, those of us from challenged situations, which is, I think, probably most of us, if you want to know the truth, I think that the whole idea is to actually help those kids build character. Maybe they got a little try a little harder, maybe we've got to put a little bit more energy into them, but it should still be for them to be the best they can be. And I think when we do things like this attendance certificate, I think we have made a conscious decision to move away from that. And I just want to share that. So I'm going to vote no on this either way. I don't care what the language changes are or whatever we've agreed on in the past. And I just encourage everybody here to vote your conscience on every one of these things, whether it's required or not.
So that begs the question, what happens if we do vote against this and we don't put a policy into effect that is required?
That's the question.
Where does that put us as a board and as a school? Are we then in non-compliance with the state? Does that affect our funding? Does that possibly pull us out of programs? I mean, what are the consequences of that?
That's exactly where the conversation, I had a very long and very wide open conversation with us. We went right there.
Great.
Because I said, you know, the problem is, the elephant in the room for us is, what if it affects our ability to get grants?
Yeah.
I mean, the reason we're on the school board is because we love these kids and we want them to do well. And now all of a sudden, by us doing what we feel is right, it's affecting our ability to get grants perhaps. Because people talk, you know, yeah, that Days Creek, it's kind of a problem school, you know, they're kind of, and next thing you know, you start not getting grants, you know. So, and she said, you know, she really did not have an answer for that, because to be very honest with you, I don't think that they're getting any pushback from anywhere. It's actually like everybody is doing the same thing we're doing throughout all the districts. Isn't this amazing?
That's true.
And so she said, I can't really tell you. The only way that you can find out is to actually begin to exercise your prerogative as a school board to say, we have some autonomy, we're going to use it. All the laws that come out of Salem, there's some of those laws I can tell you right now, gun laws stuff, I will not comply to personally. I just won't. Just because they're passing laws doesn't mean that I'm going to comply, because some of these laws are not even constitutional. So, I mean, that being said, and I told Leslie the same thing, you know, just because they pass a law that says you have to put this in policy, well, there's a part of me, because I'm just a dissident and I can't help myself, there's a part of me that says, well, let's see what you do. If we actually vote our conscience and say, we don't want that. What's that?
It's on your mind, we are recording meetings now.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say anything that I would have a problem with being on record.
I know, I was gonna. So I just want to remind everybody, you can amend, motions. We'd already have a motion on the floor in a second. If anybody else is feeling this way towards this graduation exercises, IKFB, one, it's something we can also table and bring back up at our, policy workshop that we're having before the meeting next month. I would be interested in taking another look at it and, maybe trying to wordsmith it ourselves and see what we can do with it as a board and not just pass it through. I'd be fine with that. It doesn't sit well with me either, honestly. And so,
I think that's a good idea, to be able to have.
so can we separate? So, we could maybe, if, Charlie amends his motion, and is everybody okay with JECA going ahead?
You can just sign
Vote on it or not.
Yeah, so if he amends his motion to just be JECA and not including IKFB.
So no, hold up a second.
Or do we want to take another?
Well, JECA does
That talk
mention
about
of
it.
attendance.
Okay, so let's
So
just
we
go
get
ahead.
attendance.
I guess we have to vote on it, and then we all vote it down. We'll maybe entertain another motion as for tabling it until our workshop. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, so there is a motion on the table to approve the B. Action item B. There is a motion and a second. All those in favor? All those against? All right, so that motion failed. I would entertain another motion for,
Tabling
for
JECA.
tabling the action items B until our, policy, well, until our next meeting. We're just tabling it. Just tabling it, and then we do have to make a decision next time. Or anybody else have a motion?
I move we table action item B.
I wonder if you shouldn't be making a motion to revisit action item B with further discussion, because we just voted it down, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know much about the rules of order, but it
Yeah,
seems
I
like
don't
that
know
would
if
be,
we voted it.
Revisit after further discussion.
yeah, just that we put that back on the agenda for discussion of the, I move that we take action item B and put it on the agenda of our session to further discuss policy.
Okay.
Yep.
We have moved and seconded. Donna, did you get that? Yep. All right, so all those in favor? All those opposed? All right, moving on. We are on action item C, which is the FFA trip to Redmond, correct? Oh, sorry. Yep. All right,
I move we approve the action item C.
I'll second it.
all right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion for action item C? All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? We're unanimous. All right, so action item D, the ESD contract. I know I talked to Joe about it, and he seemed very comfortable with it. He was very happy with his relationship with them this year. And he said it's just gotten better since he was here before. And he just was very positive about it and everything they've been doing for us, so.
I move that we approve the ESD contract, item 12D.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve action item D. Is there any more discussion? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? We're unanimous again, Dawn. All right, so director reports, we got a kind of cool report from Todd. He's been looking into stuff. Thank you, Todd. I know it's time consuming and mentally disturbing sometimes
It's
to
a little
look into
bit
some of this
nerve-wracking
stuff.
for me because I worry that I may be responsible for something that leads to damage. Okay, you know, and I hate that. But at the same time, you know, my conscience is just such that sometimes I just have to do things that I even hate to do.
No, well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I think we all have questions about, you know, sometimes just them saying it's required, you have to pass it through. And there's some things that I voted no on that were required and everybody else was fine with. And you just gotta vote your conscience, like you said. And so I agree with that. Thank you. So anybody else have anything to report? All right, so February 7th, Teacher Professional Development Day. I thought they were moving that. No, not that. They're moving something because of district for basketball. In March, yeah.
That was the bingo night, right?
March 7th.
Yeah, there's, yes, and also a state, district basketball, I think, too. There was conflicts.
Yeah.
But, then February 10th, district board meeting, yay, we're all here.
Here we are.
We made it. February 17th, President's Day, no school, which I would have had no clue unless Camden told me today. Because I'm not on top of the school calendar very well sometimes. And then varsity boys basketball playoff dates. They're already in the district tournament. Second in our side of the league, so They did pretty good. They can make it to the district tournament. They're pretty fun to watch. And is there any more public input? Nobody else came in and dropped anything on? Anybody, you guys have anything you'd like to say? Anybody else do? All right. So we already said we're not having an executive session. That was removed. We are on to my favorite part of the night. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Unless anybody else. Okay. Well, okay, we have a motion to second to adjourn. All those in favor? All right. Good job, you guys. We moved tonight, but next meeting is. So, I want, it'd be nice to get a copy of this.
You guys have, Donna, should I introduce you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot your last name.
Washington.
Wasington. This is Donna. I met Donna at church yesterday, and I had brought up that we were looking for a couple of new members for the school board. And she had some interest, and so that's why she came and sat tonight. So this is Todd Vaughn.
Hi.
I'm Clint Thompson. This is Laura Stubble-Bean, Rebecca Sawyer, and her husband Charlie Sawyer, and Charlie Pritchard.
It's a wonderful board.